morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Napoleon Total back with some Shogun 2 FOTS Samurai Scramble for the 4 East mod, and we have the Qing. Once again, as we can see, in the last turn we destroyed the Russian Empire, which as you can see some of the glimpse right here. With the Russians destroyed, we basically covered our western border. Sorry, eastern border, my bad. Eastern and western border. Now we have to worry about our southern border. And that is mainly to deal with the Korean threat, which is not a threat. They are mostly peaceful factions, but for the endgame conditions, I need to invade Korea, so not much of a choice if I want to win the game, which I do want to win the game. Off the bat, what you guys are looking at is me managing my provinces right now, and I'm just gonna spend all this time, with which we do have a lot of time, just talking about literally nothingness, and which is what I really like, which is basically talking about history. For those that are just wanting to know what the heck happens between these turns, is basically I master my troops and invade Korea. So basically, what am I going to be talking about? I'm going to be talking about what happened to the Qing Empire. And what I mean by that, I literally mean what happened to Qing in terms of how it happened. As I said, Emperor... One second. Emperor, if I remember this correct, Emperor Shenfeng. If I, let's see, yeah, Shenfeng reigned from, 1831 to 1861, so, yeah, a long time, and the Opium War, remember guys, is between 1839 to 1842, so basically Shenfeng had not only had to deal with the Opium War, but literally the Taiping Rebellion, which is a massive strain on his health, personally. And like I said, he was the last emperor to actually hold power. And now you might be thinking, oh, well, what's wrong with that? Well, actually, no, why is that? And the reason is because after he died, his the Dowager Empress Cixi just took over. And basically, she kind of did that because she killed everyone else, literally and figuratively. And then it was Emperor Tongzi, who was Emperor Tongzi, I think that's how you, or his official name, which is Asengero Zaitun, I think. Well, actually, no, it's not I think. It's, what I mean by I think is how you say his name. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's weird. Technically, he is not her son. But she, Emperor Cixi, she is the regent. Now, before in 1861, the three regents during that power were Zai Yuan, Duan Huai, and Su Sun, I think. And you might be thinking, okay, that's wonderful. The only problem is that Emperor Cixi was also part of the four regents. Now, the three other regents believed that Cixi had too much power, so they decided to literally, I kid you not, if you take it from the official books, which is basically that they revolted, or you can just say that they saw Cixi as this power monger and wanted to take some power back. So what they decided to do was literally retake power for themselves. Let's be honest. At this point, everyone just wants power, and so what they did was literally, essentially did a palace coup, and they kind of failed. And after that, Cixi was like, "Okay, I have immediate power. You guys are not going to do anything about that," and that's that. After that, it was just like, okay, you're technically my puppet, and literally that's that. He didn't live quite long. He literally, went from 1861 to 1875. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's a pretty long year. That's a pretty long 14 years, 13 to 15 years. That's wonderful. But you have to realize, well, it is more than some emperors out there say. For example, the Emperor of the Ming, the third Emperor of the Ming, which is Emperor Hongle, he reigned for less than 1 year, and then he died. At least Tongzi reigned for 14 years, right? Well, let's be honest, Tongzi really did nothing. I would dare say his predecessor, which is Emperor Guangxu, and I think I'm saying that correct because Emperor Guangxu, or his name is, one second, Asengero Zaitian, I think. Now you might be thinking, okay, Zaitian, why did he reign so long? Well, he reigned from 1875 to 1908, and once again, he was literally a puppet of Emperor Cixi, and I think, well, no, not I think, during his entire reign, he had to, and by the way, for those that are wondering what Guangxu means, it literally means, in a funny and humorous way, or an ironic way, glorious succession, which is pretty interesting, just to say the least. Literally the dude, was basically a puppet, but, unlike the previous emperor, this guy actually was not that bad of a ruler. And when I mean not that bad, it means that he has his own personal thought, which could be useful, and then you have his personal stuff, which is pretty interesting. He, this dude literally had, like, he was the one who decided, yeah, let's build up the Beiyang fleet, which, once again, we could see, that he really wanted to modernize, but that was later in his reign, and he also did, he wanted to modernize, but for a specifically different reason, and which we will talk about, although, it could be literally seen as a power grab, but I'll explain that later. What the dude wanted to do was pretty, well, what I should say, this guy was not that bad. He was a good emperor, but he just had the Dowager Empress, over him, so he didn't really do much. But, at least this guy was a good emperor. And when I mean good emperor, I mean like, literally a good emperor if he had actual power. Not that he was smart compared to Emperor Cixi and Emperor Dowager at this point, Cixi. And the reason why I say that is because the Emperor Dowager, which I'm just gonna keep saying because I can't really say Cixi correctly, I'm just gonna say the Emperor Dowager is pretty smart. And you might be wondering, oh great, Napoleon here is saying that she's pretty smart, and you kind of have to be. She literally took power from, she was literally a regent for most of her later years, and before she died. And the reason and the way that she held on to power was pretty interesting. I can't explain all of it in this 30 minutes, but literally it was she was not done. Obviously, at this point, anyone who was even close to Emperor Dowager, she's not done. Now you might be wondering, if she's not done, how did she literally lead the Qing Empire to ruin? The answer is pretty simple, and in the fact that she overestimated her own empire, technically her empire. I'm saying her because like she was the ruler in theory. Well, actually no, in practice, and not in theory, of course. And in practice, in theory, matter of fact, is Emperor Guangxu, which is the emperor. But the Empress Dowager, my bad, literally overestimated the Qing Empire, which is okay, and underestimated everyone else. Which, let's be honest, it's not the first time a person has done it, except for this time you kind of really screwed up because every other faction, well, especially in this day and age, because the gap between the Qing Empire and, for say, every other empire, every other modern empire is pretty massive. This will be especially seen in the first Sino-Japanese War, which, let's put it in a nice way, the Qing got defeated pretty badly. Although modern sources say it's not that bad in the way, but I'll talk more about that later. So Emperor Dowager Cixi, she was an interesting character. She was literally like the mother to all. Her literal name is Mu Hou Tai Huang Hou, literally Empress Mother, and then Empress Dowager. Just for those that are wondering on the screen, what the heck am I doing? I'm sitting a unit on the fleet, and that fleet is gonna try to land, but we're not gonna talk about that because you guys will see what's going on. So basically, what Cixi did was basically she just took power herself, and like I said, she overestimated everyone else's power. She overestimated the Qing's power and underestimated every other major country's power. During her time, she saw Japan as her vassal state, which technically, I can't say if it's historically correct, but Japanese, there was a lot of Chinese influence in Japan, just saying. And South Korea as their vassal state, which, once again, Korea has a lot of Chinese influence. Is that correct? As a vassal state, technically, the Koreans did have to pay tribute to the Qing Empire. But the problem was, during this day and age, the day and age that Sushi is in, it started to get a little dwindling. And not to mention the fact that, well, for Korea, the situation is different than Japan. Korea really had to rely on China, because literally, if we don't rely on you, if you don't pay tribute, we might invade you. That is the policy that the Qing basically carried out. And for Japan, the only good thing for them was that they had a sea, and that was the sea, like literally the sea. So yes, that's that. But once again, like I said, the Empress Dowager had a habit of overestimating Qing, underestimating her opponents, which literally in this case is all around her. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, the Opium War is over. You saw the devastating effects. Literally, your husband, Emperor, I forgot his name now. Emperor, gosh darn, Emperor Shenfeng. Yeah, Emperor Shenfeng literally had to flee from the Forbidden Palace, and it's not a pretty sight. Just saying, it's pretty damaging for the Emperor, because technically, during Confucian China, it basically means the Emperor is the state. He's like Louis XIV, except for every emperor besides him is literally like, I am the state. Now, obviously, that state does require it is required for the Emperor that you take good care of your citizens, but at this point, it just went downhill for the Qing. Emperor Cixi, for example, because she overestimated her own power, she decided to spend a lot of stuff on literally her literal, what I can assume is her personal wardrobe. Not only that, and literally the palace. Now, that is one big way to set a downfall for your empire, and that is literally spending a lot of money on stuff that you don't need. For example, a massive palace, and this, I'm not exaggerating here, for her birthday, this is what she had. Well, actually, no. This is what she had. Well, I'm not gonna list every dish that she had. For her birthday, she had 1,000 dishes. Notice, now you have to see me. You have to understand me correctly. 100 big dishes. Now you might be wondering, okay, that's, sorry, not 100, 1,000 big dishes. So literally, she literally has 1,000 big dishes. Now you might be wondering, okay, there is no way in heck she's gonna finish it all. And you're right. Did I forget something? Oh yes, that was 1,000 big dishes. Then I haven't even talked about the small dishes, which is, I'm not even gonna count. I'm not even trying to tell you guys, because it's probably gonna be wrong. But just pretend it's a few thousand more. Just pretend it's a few thousand more. But basically, what happened was that she's like, okay, give me a chopstick, and I'm just gonna taste a part of this dish. So basically, for like fish, example, she'll only eat a part of this fish. How much? A tiny bit. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's 1,000 dishes, so she went through 1,000 little bites, which is reasonable. What do you do with the rest of the food? Guess what they did? They threw it outside. That was part of her expending, and now you can see why this is costing a lot. Also, by the way, for those that are wondering, it's not just an ordinary fish. They had to put, for one dish, it costs a lot of money. Like, they had to put gold figurines on the dish just to make it look pretty. And after that, the Empress Dowager basically just like took a chopstick and then took one bite and was like, okay. And then they threw it out, which is kind of, by every definition, it's wasteful. As you can see, back to the screen. I am preparing to declare war on the Joseon Kingdom. I basically just canceled their trade agreement just a few seconds right now, and I'm preparing for the invasion. I'm going to talk a little about this before I go back. As you can see, I can call my allies to war, but owing to the recent treaties, declaring war will damage my legitimacy. So I decide whether I declare war right now, because they grant us military access, and that is indefinite, I literally have no choice but to literally declare war on them and suffer the consequences, so yeah, that's a problem. I don't know, it is historically accurate in the sense that Korea was a vassal state. Now it's just a problem for me because, I can't really do that, so that's a problem. So I just decided to, you know what, screw it, declare war. And literally I'm going down south. And for those that have been watching during all my blabbing, France and the United Kingdom loves me because for some reason I think after I destroyed the Russians, which is historically accurate, the British and the French fought the Russians during the Crimean War. So they pretty much hate me. The French and the British pretty much love me, and I decided to trade with the British, by the way. So yes, that's interesting. Reversal, like literally a few episodes before, they literally hated the heck out of me. Now they're loving me. But now back to the Finasco, which is the late Qing bureaucracy. Now during the late Qing, there were two people, important people that actually did some stuff. One of them, was the late Li Hongzhang, and this guy was literally, he was the guy who, I can't say founded the Beiyang fleet, but he was the governor of Liangguang, or in this case is Guangdong and Guangzhou, modern day Guangzhou, I think. The French newspaper would describe him as the Yellow Bismarck, and that is just to tell you guys how powerful he is. Under his commands, he commanded the Beiyang fleet, he commanded the Huai army, he fought during the Taiping Rebellion, First Sino-Japanese War, which Qing lost, and yeah, that's that. The other person was his what's his name? His teacher, which I do not know the name of, or I'm forgetting the name, so that's a problem. Yes. So I forgot his name, but yes, that's that. But so basically, there were some clear-minded people out there, and Li Hongzhang was one of those people that saying, "Hey, Emperor Dowager, I know you really think the Japanese are a bunch of pirates." By the way, that is what they call them. I'm not saying the Japanese are pirates, just saying. It's what the Imperial Court of China basically called them. They called the Japanese pirates, which literally the term that they used was wokou, so which means a raider or a pirate in this case. And they're like saying, we know that you think the Japanese are pirates, but they are a threat. They're modernizing. Maybe we should modernize. And the Emperor was like, yeah, they're not a threat. And as you can see in the background, my army has just taken northern Hamyong. Not that important, but we will get back to later. Anyway, so basically the Emperor Dowager was like, not a big threat, not my problem. And then literally the Second Opium War happened. And how to put it in a good way? Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing. Because technically a bunch of pirates, yes, I'm using the official term, well, not the official term, it's what basically the Emperor Dowager calls them. And by the way, for those that are wondering, I do not think Japanese people are pirates. It's, I think they're respectable people, so, a matter of fact, I think they're one of the most kind people some of the most kind people that I ever know, just saying. But, literally, it's pretty embarrassing when you call a country a bunch of pirates, and these bunch of pirates literally, to put it in a nice way, whip your ass. It's kind of embarrassing. And that is what allowed Emperor Guangxu, Guangxu, my bad, to get some power into saying that, oh, I want to modernize. And how did it go? Well, it didn't go too well in the sense that, at first Emperor Cixi was supporting it, and then she realized, wait a minute, all you people are, Emperor Guangxu is trying to get power for himself and gonna make him legitimate, like, make him, remember, at this time Emperor Guangxu was just like a puppet, and he basically, at this point, still wanted power. So basically, what he basically did was like, okay, I'm gonna try to reform, but I'm secretly gonna deploy my, bring up my own army, or bring up my own, the people who support me. which is kind of hard because Empress Cixi was no stupid fool, and she basically monitors everything that the emperor does, which is by every standard you can argue that she is literally is considered traitorous. Yes. I also like on this map, back to the game. Now I like how the sea between literally this landmass, which is mainland Asia and Japan, literally is called total fonts. That's just pretty amusing, just funny. But anyway, so basically after they so Gongxu tried to modernize, and literally it kind of was a disaster. And yeah, because most of his people who modernized were either killed or put to jail, and I mean that literally. Sometimes yeah. So it was not a pretty good site, and China basically didn't really modernize, or when it did, it was sanctioned by Emperor Cixi. So that was pretty embarrassing. Embarrassing in the sense for China because they not only lost and they refused to modernize, and for some reason eventually what happened was the 8 Nation Army just decided to knock on the door, and for those that are wondering, I'm simplifying a lot, and the real history was basically a Chinese dude killed a foreigner, and basically I think he was British. Sorry, he was German. He killed a foreigner, and the foreign powers were like, whoa, because we signed a treaty called after the Second Opium War, the Nanjing Treaty. It basically states that all foreigners in China or operating in China literally are abide to Western law. And now you might be thinking, oh, great. And the Western law says the person who killed said dude has to be the Chinese dude who killed the foreigner, who I think was German, has to be killed. And Cixi at this point was sick of the Imperials, and she's like, okay, does anyone have the guts to declare war? And people were like, yeah, I have the guts to declare war, and she said, alright, let's go to war. And not only that, she declared war on 8 European nations, which include Russia, the United States, the British, the French, Italy, Austria-Hungary, a few more. I don't know all of them, by the way. It's a lot. And yeah, it was not a pretty sight because not only was the Qing Empire defeated, it was pretty embarrassing in the sense that they stormed the Forbidden Palace again. And the terms of the peace treaty was that Cixi give up her power and renounce the emperor as the legitimate emperor, which let's be honest, when Emperor Guangxu heard that, he literally was like freaking out, because the reason why he was angry and freaking out in anger, and the reason why he's freaking out in anger is because literally technically, no matter how embarrassing it is, no matter how beneficial for you, it technically does mean that a foreign power is like, how do I put it, is making laws for your country. So basically, if I like say, a good reference for my history teacher that I learned was for this scenario is basically if you have a daughter or a son, which I don't, sorry, can't really make the reference, but if you have a daughter and a son, you can insult your daughter, son, brother, sister, all you want. But when an outsider insults your daughter, you're like, whoa, hey, no, that's only a right preserved for me, not for you, my friend, just not for you. And yep, stuff like that. But I hope you guys know what I'm saying. But anyway, obviously, Cixi made some tweaks here and there, and basically she says, okay, the other part of the peace term was that we have to pay you money, and you have to make the emperor the legitimate emperor. What Cixi did was basically through some meddling, and I forgot what she did exactly, but through some meddling, she's basically like, okay, we only have to pay some money, and that's that. Oh yeah, also and you're supposed to kill all these officials. Now, so that's that. Whew, that was a lot of history, so let's get back to the game. Now we're, what we're doing right now, we're assaulting a Korean fort in, south of the Yalu River. And for those that don't know, the Yalu River is the connecting point between China and Korea. And to be exact, in modern day, it will be China and North Korea, so yeah, the PRC in North Korea. So that's interesting. Yes, we're crossing deep below the Yalu River. And deep south below the Yalu River, and now we're facing this Korean fort. As you can see, my army is already formed up. A lot of spearmen, just saying. Once again, that was kind of my mistake. This fort is literally on right next to a river, and literally it's basically a wooden fort, like Mott and Bailey Fort, except for the Bailey is pretty level, if that makes sense. So yes, we are gonna assault this place, and there's not a lot of defenders, but I dare say they are pretty elite. Just say, well, they're not. Okay, there's two types. There are only two very elite units that the Koreans have in their army. To be exact, when I mean Korean, I mean Joseon Kingdom. That is the Guard Archers, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, no, the Guard Archers and the General, which are the most elite units. You can see here me trying to run up and burn this tower. I'm just gonna tell you ahead of time that in the game, I successfully burned the tower, which is, you can see what happened on the left. It was the other tower that I burned. Basically what I did was fire arrows at the tower, and then the tower, my bad, just set ablaze, and that's it. That's that. And yeah. However, in the game, what happened was that the tower actually set on fire. For some reason, in the battle replay, it doesn't set on fire. So that's making me slightly angry in the battle replay. Not that it matters for my campaign. It's just you guys have to know. Every time you see that arrow tower firing at my men, just remember that arrow tower was gone. But because this is the battle replay, it's a little bit different. And yes, I am using a battle replay. If you guys haven't figured that out by now. So where were we? So basically, Guangxu, it was the foreign powers wanted Emperor Guangxu back to be the legitimate emperor, because they kind of realized that Emperor Cixi was they wanted China to modernize, and they wanted their own interests, so stuff like that. And they thought, Guangxu, since you want to modernize, we're gonna help you. And that's one of the main reasons why. Like I said in the background, everything in this video is pretty self-explanatory. At this point, my guys are just firing arrows at the defenders, which are turning the wrong way, so they're gonna get heavily punished, but stuff like that. I think you guys are smart enough to realize what the heck you're seeing on the screen. Although I have to admit, the uniforms for these Korean levies are pretty awesome. Yeah, just saying. Once again, nice job to the mod development team. So, where were we? Oh, yes, so yes, that's that, yes. That was basically the Empire of Qing, and then basically after that, it just went downhill, even more, and by the end of the Opium War, if the Qing Empire was not going downhill, you better be surprised by now, it will be definitely going downhill. And after that, to make it worse, after Cixi's death, which, I have to admit, she lived a pretty long time, the Empire just went even more downhill, like, literally, not a joke. Yes, that's a lot. Now, you might be wondering, now your biggest question might be wondering, wait, how the heck did Cixi, the Empress Dowager, my bad, hold so much power? And the reason is simple. One, she had absolute control over the Emperor, and she kind of did that in a way that, would make you and I laugh. For one reason, the Emperor, by the way, is not her son. You're like, wait, what? Yeah. She's called the Empress Dowager, but she's not the mother. Now you might be wondering, whoa, wait a second, what's going on? So basically what is going on is she basically says, okay, I'm gonna adopt your son, which by all accounts, Emperor Cixi is not even a Sendero. Meaning, she's from the, another Mongol Manchu clan. But, that Manchu clan was high enough to be Imperial kin, just saying. But the ruling family once again is Asangero. So what I mean is that she is definitely not Asangero. The family clan is what I'm trying to say. So basically, she did it in a way that says, okay, I'm gonna adopt Emperor Guangxu, making him my son, which is totally BS, by the way. Just saying. I'm gonna adopt Emperor Guangxu, and then I'm gonna make him call me Dad. To be exact, the official term was, please excuse my Chinese, Qing Baba, literally translated to my official dad. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, she's a woman. How can you say she's a dad? No, okay. When I mean dad, I don't mean any offense to people with genders. I'm just talking to traditional Confucian general rules, which were back then. No offense to anyone who in this modern era that thinks, what the heck, you're against gays, lesbians. Look, I'm not against that. I'm literally what I'm trying to do is saying what I'm trying to say is the Confucian values back then. Now you might be wondering, okay, so back on topic. Wait, how the heck is she able to get him to be called Dad? And that is because Emperor Cixi will go around saying, look, and this is kind of interesting, kind of ironic. She will say, look, Emperor Guangxu, the emperor, by the way, is like a son to me. And I'm like, this is a legit quote. I'm like his direct relative, which is totally BS. Just saying. I'm like his direct relative. I'm like his dad. So Guangxu fearing for his life because let's just put it in a nice way. Emperor Tongzi's death was the emperor before Emperor Guangxu. He was not his death was kind of surrounded in mystery. Just saying. Just gonna put it in a light way. Fearing for his life, would just call her the Emperor Dowager Qing Baba, which literally translates to my official dad, or the related dad, which is just simplified to say dad. Now, sorry guys, I've been talking a lot, way too much for your liking. Anyway, in this episode, we basically just invaded Korea, did stuff, and taken the fortress, and that's that. Once again, everyone have a great day. I'll see you in the next one, and bye. Now, before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.